Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Veterinary Business Podcast, where modern veterinary leadership meets real world strategy. I'm your host, Dan Disha, and I'm glad you're here today. In veterinary medicine, growth often looks great from the outside. Fuller schedules, expanding services, increasing revenue. But behind the scenes, many practices are stretched thin, facing burnout, people challenges, and systems that struggle to keep up. And that's where today's conversation begins. Because building a practice that actually lasts isn't just about medicine or money. It's about developing the right hard skills, the right soft skills, and the leadership mindset to support both people and performance. Our episode today is titled The Hard and Soft Skills Needed to Build Durable, Human-Centered Veterinary Practices. And joining us is Dr. Christy Cornelius. Dr. Cornelius is a veterinary entrepreneur and executive leader and the founder of Kinder.vet and Chief Vet X. With a background in palliative care, hospice, and in-home euthanasia, her work is rooted in compassionate, client-centered care. She also holds an executive MBA from Rice University, bringing strategic and operational insight to veterinary leadership and growth. Dr. Cornelius is especially passionate about the responsible use of emerging technologies, including generative AI, to improve efficiency, reduce burnout, and enhance both team and client experiences without sacrificing culture or care. Today, we'll explore what entrepreneurship really means for veterinarians, the skills needed to build durable practices, how innovation can support, not replace, human-centered care, and what leaders can do now to prepare for the future. Before we dive in, a quick resource for our listeners. If your practice is growing or trying to grow, but your marketing feels unclear, inconsistent, or overly time-consuming, we are offering a complimentary marketing strategy meeting with Lila, a veterinary marketing strategist who's helped hundreds of clinics improve visibility, attract the right clients, and grow with confidence. In this free session, you'll receive a clear review of your current online presence and a 6-month growth roadmap tailored to your practice, so you know exactly where to focus your time and energy next. You can book your free session at www.veterinarybusinessinstitute.com/MSM. With that being said, Dr. Cornelius, welcome back to the Veterinary Business Podcast.
Thank you so much, John. It's a pleasure to be here again. I'm always excited to work with you guys, whether or not it's, doing a podcast or a panel. I think what you guys are doing is brilliant, and I think it's really much needed in our industry, especially as we kind of look forward into the future. So thank you.
When you look at 2026 and beyond, how do you define entrepreneurship for today's veterinarian? And why is this mindset becoming essential even for those who don't plan to own a practice?
Yeah, it's a really, really great question. And, entrepreneurship, first of all, I usually define it as a contact sport. It's a combination of multiple skills, including, business acumen, leadership skills, self-awareness, conflict resolution, financial acumen. It's just a great combination of things. And it's really important for us to embody that, not only if we are business owners, but if we're in the profession in general, even if we are associates, other team members, we're all part of the entrepreneurial experience. And specifically when it comes to innovation, it's really important to include your teams in those types of decisions. And so I think it's just a conglomerate of things, certain skills all put together, and then to have, the fortitude and the confidence, to go forward with your ideas.
Right. Now, you mentioned over there a very interesting thing, which is the entrepreneurial experience. Can you dive into that? How is that different from any other kind of experience?
Yeah. Well, entrepreneurship is not for everybody, but it is for those that, are able to, bring an idea and not only ideas are just ideas, but you really have to figure out your plan of execution and how you're going to implement those things and how you're going to convince other people to help you along the way. And really, that is a lot of work, a lot of challenges that come to it, but also there's so much more autonomy. There's purpose there. There's mindfulness there, and so the rewards definitely equal and even outpace some of the challenges that you face.
Okay, and for our practice owners listening in, how do they encourage this mindset in their staff without making associate feel like they're just being asked to work harder?
Yeah. So one of the things that has, come up here in the last few years is productivity. And, we have to be better about our margins rather than just revenues. And so trying to improve on margins, we take a look at things like efficiencies and operations, and it includes some testing. And we have to be okay with failing because you can never understand what's possible without trying. And we have to just, failure is a normal part of the process. It doesn't mean that you are a failure, and failure is just part of everything. And I have been told no 1,000 times. I have failed more than I have succeeded. You just know about my successes. You don't know how many times it actually takes to come up with an idea that makes sense and something that you can implement and execute.
Right. And what is really the danger that, when vets confuse entrepreneurship with, producing more revenue, as in what you meant by being profitable versus, just focusing on that revenue part of it?
Yeah. And, we have to embrace profit as something that is good because it allows you to continue to do what you're doing. And profit allows us to reinvest in our teams in the form of, bonuses and, continuing education and other things like that that you wouldn't be able to do if you were not profitable.
Right. And if you don't mind, Dr. Cornelius, if you could give us an example or a story from your own experience where you failed multiple times before you achieved some sort of project that you had put your mind into, especially when it comes to this leadership aspect. If you could give us an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah, sure. So, for example, when building Kinder.vet, which is a community that I put together in order for us to kind of figure out how to go from clinician to CEO, a lot of it is trial and error. I initially made the mistake of going too broad, and I was trying to help everybody, and found that that wasn't what was going to move us forward. And so I had to get very specific. I had to narrow down into a niche, and also from that niche, be able to really figure out what the problems were in order to come up with solutions to those problems. And so in going to general, like I said, it wasn't something that really ended up working out in the end. But now, since I narrowed in, and that's taken a year, and
Mhm.
like I said, just a lot of time just trying to figure out exactly what was going to bring value to those that were interested in joining the community.
Right. Thank you very much for that experience bit. We
Yeah.
really appreciate, these stories because that really grounds the theories. So, Dr. Cornelius, from your experience as a founder with an MBA, what are the most critical hard skills veterinarians must develop to build durable, financial, healthy businesses in a rapidly changing industry?
Yeah. A huge key is financial fluency, and
Mm,
how you how you create value, and how you do that through discipline. And what I mean by that is, how you develop financial fluency and really paying attention to things like your financial statements. What you want to focus on is you want to be an active participant in your financials. And so you're working closely with your bookkeeper and your CPA, and you want to be cognizant of what happens on a monthly, weekly, and daily basis. And so you're focusing on your P&L. You want a good grasp of your cash flow statements. And this is actually the cash that you're generating in excess of your expenses and other costs to your business that you can actually use to then invest into things like more staff members, again, continuing education and other things. This is the cash that you use to grow. And so the other thing you want to be aware of is also your balance sheets. And so
mm,
like I said, the three they're going to be your income statement, which is your P&L, your cash flow statement, and then your balance sheet. And when you become fluent in those, that will help you actually with your strategy. It helps you
mm,
realize the gaps in your businesses, and it also helps you with your decision making. And so you decide what's important, what's a priority, and then
mm,
from there you're able to then make changes that will hopefully lead to further growth and success.
right.
Another thing for us, especially independent veterinarians versus corporates, corporates think in what I would call like an EBITDA thinking.
Yeah.
When you're looking at things, and again, utilize your bookkeepers and your CPA, to really kind of grasp this type of thinking. It's taking you as the business owner out of the equation. And what I mean by that is your compensation. And so when corporates come in and they're looking at acquisition targets, that's one thing that they do. You're taking yourself out of the business. Other things that you look at as one-time purchases. And so if you make a huge purchase, an equipment purchase, that's not normally something that would occur. And so you
Mhm.
want to make sure that you take that out of the equation when you're looking at your financials over a period of, let's say, an annual review.
Mhm.
So we have to learn as independents how you would manage the same way, even if you don't sell your practice. And getting really good about developing like a KPI, key performance
Mhm.
indicator control panel. And so you're looking
Yeah.
at things like transactions per day, your average transaction charge, your doctor hours, your tech hours, the percentage of labor per revenue, your COGS, your recheck compliance, and your appointment
Mhm.
fill rate. So all sorts of things that's really important for you to become fluent in. And that's an absolute as far as a hard skill is concerned. Um,
Mhm.
another Another thing that I think of is operational excellence, and taking a look at your flows. We're trying not to push people to work harder to try to increase
Mhm.
productivity nowadays. We're
Right.
really
Right.
looking at redesigning the entire flow. And with the advent and implementation of artificial intelligence, that really helps us to make things more efficient without pushing your team members to work harder. We're just teaching them to work smarter with the tools now we have at our dispense in order to do that. And so, really, re-standardizing your workflow is really going to be key moving forward in how we compete with others in our area.
Right. And over there, you mentioned that taking yourself out of the business. Can you elaborate that a little bit? Because You successfully sold a practice in 2021.
Yeah.
So, what was that specific? Would you allude, taking yourself out of the business as perhaps one of the skills that really made that exit smooth rather than chaotic?
Yeah. So when you're in a position of acquisition, one of the things that an acquiring company will look at is if if the business owner stepped away, can this company business still be successful? And oftentimes after a sale, sometimes the business owner is in a position where things are changing around them, and it might not be matching to their specific skills or values, etc. And so, if it were a situation where either the business owner decided to walk away at the time of sale or walk away at some time in the future, you want to make sure that that business can survive without that business owner present.
Right. What are some of the steps that made it possible for you to do that, get there?
Yeah, so it's really important to train your staff appropriately.
Hmm.
You reward them for, you give them a ladder to work up. And so
Hmm.
the very first thing that I did as a business owner when I hired my first associate is I immediately started to implement training that would allow them to develop their leadership skills. And these are things that you should be doing at all stages of your business and with all different role types. And so your frontline people, you're automatically training them to be leaders within their role. And then if you're able to have a success plan in place. For example, when I sold, I had two of my associates that could, basically run the business without me. And
Hmm.
so it made it much more attractive to an acquiring company if they know that they have deep experience and that just that business owner, with, like I said, without it, the successors are able to run the practice without them.
Right. Now, Dr. Cornelius, you work at the intersection of compassion and innovation. How can emerging tools like generative AI be used responsibly to improve efficiency and perhaps decision making without sacrificing client trust or team well being?
Yeah. So what we have seen is that there seems to be a gap between what we have available for AI tools and then what we're doing with them and using them in a way that is actually making a difference. And so, in what we're doing in developing these is you don't want to change a lot of things at one time. And so it's important to really kind of take a larger view, and you're looking at, one or two or three separate workflows, and you're doing one at a time, and you're incrementally improving your implementation and execution in the use of AI tools. You are also creating some governance around it. And so you want to make sure that you're addressing privacy, your record integrity. If you were to get audited, you want to make sure that, what you are utilizing and capturing with using AI tools to do that, it's something that will not cause a problem in the future. Staff training is also very important in this. You want to make sure that they are also aware of some of the safety and the regulations around the use of AI, and also, we're not going to be replaced by artificial intelligence, but we all have to. It's not an alternative anymore. We're all going to be using it. And so we have to learn how to work alongside AI. And we are now going to be considered the human in the loop. And so as we go in our work workflows go along, we're not going to be doing the tasks. We're going to actually be auditing and training and monitoring AI agents that are going to be doing those tasks for us.
Hmm. How has your team taken that shift?
I myself, I don't have a large team now. But I will say that some of the things that I do as an educator and a business consultant, I use AI tools to build apps and websites and things like that. And for example, right now I'm running a masterclass that has an interactive workbook and quiz sections to it that utilize AI. And so I am having to explain, all of the theory behind it and how to use it. And in doing that, things right now are a little bit slower only because there's a lot of, testing that we're doing as we're
Mhm.
completing our sections and moving along. But the people that are in the program, they were warned up front that there's going to be, a lot of bugs and fixes that we'll have to figure out as we go along. But as long as they understand that and you're being
Mm.
transparent about what you're doing and how you're doing it, that's where the understanding comes along and the willingness to work with you with those systems in order to make it work.
Okay. Now, your background in palliative care and hospice requires deep emotional intelligence. How has those experiences really shaped your leadership style, and what soft skills do veterinary leaders most need right now to prevent burnout and build strong cultures?
Yeah. Very prominent right now. I think it starts with examining yourself,
Mhm.
becoming self aware, learning what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and developing programs around your weaknesses. So, in order to strengthen what you need to strengthen to become more competitive. In addition, when you're learning your strengths, it's also about developing those further as well and recognizing when you come to the table that you're able to clarify what you're able to do and what you need help with, and asking questions is really really vital to that. And I think staying open to change and being agile, understanding the perspectives of other people on your teams, and being willing to hear them out, practicing active listening skills, and communication when it comes to conflict resolution, when it comes to defining your vision, and being
Mhm.
clear about that and providing clarity around that. That's what people most want. They know you're not perfect, and
Okay.
you want to make sure that imperfection is acceptable. But keeping
Mm.
yourself open to new ideas also serves as a good reminder, and you serve yourself well as a mentor
Mm.
in those situations if people understand that it's not perfection, it's just progress.
Mhm. Okay. Speak about that clarity bit a little bit more. How clear
Yeah.
do you think the teams really expect you to be, perhaps, and where exactly?
I think that clarity needs to be everywhere. I
Hmm.
think that we have to make sure that our teams feel safe. We are practicing psychological safety. And we want to make sure that our teams feel comfortable with speaking up and speaking out. I feel that, without a safe environment to bring up feedback and issues and be able to talk about those things in an open manner, that's where a lot of leaders kind of get trapped. And
Mm.
sometimes we go after things that aren't really even the problem, and we're prioritizing things that aren't working for us. And we wouldn't know the difference because we as leaders don't ask questions. And for me as a leader, one of the most important things was for me to establish good one-on-one rapport with every single team member so that they know that they could come to me or they could go to their supervisor and know that I would be willing to listen and try to come up with solutions that were, amenable to those people that are actually, having to do the tasks.
Mm-hmm. And how did you know your rapport, for those one-on-one sessions were good?
Well, it's all about asking for feedback.
Okay.
Even, so at the end of every conversation, I needed to make sure that, I heard and I understood, everything that they had to say. Just making sure that they didn't have anything else that they wanted to bring up. Again, reemphasizing, the safety, of the conversation, and just asking them and asking for feedback is really one of the most important things that you can do in that situation.
Got you. And for our veterinarians listening in who feel stretched between medicine, leadership, and life, what practical steps can they take today to prepare for the future while staying grounded in purpose and care?
I think a huge thing to do is grow your network. You want to surround yourself with people that have done things that you have yet to accomplish, know things that you don't know. Also, people that are willing to work with you and teach you things. Having a big and broad network really helps a lot of us along in that. We don't know everything as a single person with one brain, but you can learn a lot just by having a conversation about anything with anybody in your network. You never know what you bring up and what you learn from others. And again, practicing your listening skills is really, really keen to really learning how to like work everything with so many levers and so many different things that can really affect your mindset and your well-being and really how successful you are both in life and in business.
Right. Right there, you mentioned willing to teach you things. How do you find these people, and do you ask them, "Hey, Dr. Cornelius, can you teach me about this thing?" Or is how does that conversation come about, and how does that outcome really come about?
Yeah, it's just really kind of, again, just being open about what you're looking for and your needs. And you may get 10 no's, but every single no gets you closer to a yes. And you will find those people. It may take you a while, but surround yourself with those people that are willing to, share their experiences and coach you through certain things. And, finding, at least one really good mentor and maybe two or three around you. It's just a matter of asking.
Got you. And Dr. Cornelius, just as we wrap things up here for this session, what is the golden nugget of our conversation? What is that one key takeaway for our listeners if they could only take away one?
I would say that the willingness to learn and to listen and take in information is what's going to be really vital in moving forward. You have to realize that you don't know everything, and that there are people out there that know more than you do about a lot of things. And just know that that what you actually know is very little compared to what is to be known.
Dr. Cornelius, thank you for such an insightful and grounded conversation. Today's discussion reinforced a critical truth that building durable, human-centered veterinary practices doesn't start with expansion plans, revenue targets, or even tech stacks. It starts with people, with leadership, and with teams and systems that are designed to support both culture and performance from the ground up. You reminded us that when hard skills, soft skills, and innovation are aligned with compassionate leadership, practices don't just survive, they thrive with resilience, purpose, and efficiency. To our listeners, thank you for spending this time with us. Whether you're a practice owner trying to balance growth with care, a leader navigating complex team dynamics, or part of a team feeling stretched by change, we hope today's episode gave you practical insight and clearer framework for building future-ready, people-first practices. If Dr. Cornelius's perspective resonated with you, I encourage you to explore the work she's doing through Kinder.Vet and Chief Vet X, where veterinary leaders are supported in developing scalable systems, leadership skills, and technology strategies that elevate both team and client experiences. And before we wrap up, a quick reminder, you can still book a complimentary marketing strategy meeting with Lila, where you will receive a personalized review of your clinic's online presence and a 6-month growth roadmap tailored just for your goals. Visit www.veterinarybusinessinstitute.com/MSM to schedule your free session. From all of us here at the Veterinary Business Podcast, thank you for showing up, investing in your leadership, and recognizing that when people, culture, and purpose are prioritized, everything else becomes stronger. We'll see you next time.